Hello everyone. This video is very much just me talking. Just talking, and I don't really have anything like big really to talk about. It just, I just wanted to talk. I just wanted to talk, and very much just this video is very much just me just talking about faith. Talk about faith, talk about religion and everything. I've not hidden that. I am Catholic, and that's very big and important to me. And I very much try to keep this channel mainly gaming because I'm just I just want to be mainly gaming. I want it mainly to be about video games and stuff. And it's why I deleted the political videos that I made way back then, because I'm just nah, this is a channel about video games, talking about video games. But yeah, I want to go ahead and just make this short video just talking about this. And I'm not gonna get too much I'm not gonna get too much into the details and stuff. But very much these past 3 months, I was expecting something. These past 3 months, and I'm making this video mainly, if somebody's going through what I'm going through right now, and somebody, if you were expecting something, if you were praying for something, and you were like, oh my God, God's finally gonna answer my prayers, and everything's gonna work, everything's finally gonna come together, and then only for the rug to get pulled under you. And that's basically what happened to me. And I'm just like, oh, you know what, I want to make this video. I just want to make this short video. And you know what, I might make this video and no one cares. I don't care. That's my whole thing with this channel. I don't care if you watch it, thank you very much. If you don't, then it's just whatever. I do these for fun. But so basically just these past 3 months, I've been expecting. I was expecting something, and I was thinking I was expecting something, and everything was everything was working. Everything was working. Everything seemed to be going at the right pace and everything. And I remember these past 3 months, I was just everything's working. God's finally gonna answer my prayers. God's finally answering my prayers. Everything's going good. Everything's going well. And for 3 months, this happened, and I constantly looked for any signs telling me that I was wrong, or that God's saying no. And like I do with anything, I could do anything, any big thing going on in my life, I ask God, and then I look see if if he's giving me any signs or anything to give me an answer. And everything is going normally. Everything's going really well. And I'm God's finally answering my prayers, and everything's coming together. And then this last Sunday, it basically all fell apart. Not basically, it literally fell all apart. It was the rug got pulled under me, and it didn't work out. And it's it didn't work out. And now it's very much just okay, all that was and it very much hit me like a truck, being okay, what was those 3 months? Did I just waste 3 months of my life on something that I thought was going to happen, only for at the last minute not to happen? And I remember on Sunday, I was very disappointed, and I was very disappointed, and I was heartbroken, and I was upset. I was upset about it. And I remember even on Monday, Monday I went to work, and I noticed I was going slower. I was going slower as I was working. I was not going the speed I normally go. And I was okay, I need to just take the day off. I need to take the day off tomorrow. So yesterday I did not go in, I did not go into work. I was you know what, I'm taking the day off. And the entire day yesterday, I basically just spent praying. The entire day I spent praying. I went to my church has like, daily mass, which I think every church has, but they had mass at 9 o'clock in the morning on the weekdays, and like at like 8:30, I went to the church and was just staying in the adoration room, just praying to God, being like, why did this happen? I thought everything was finally going well, like, but now, like, now all of a sudden this happened, like, why? And then had mass, and I and like the gospel at mass was like really good, but I what really startled me was the homily that the priest told, which the priest was actually the priest of the church that I've been going to recently. So like the church that I went to was the church I did, but it was a church I grew up in. But I'm not going there regularly anymore. I've started going to a different church, and the priest of that church was at this church giving the mass, and I remember, like, mass starts, and I see him walking down. I'm like, oh hey, like I know him. Like, that's the priest that is like over at my church, at the church that I'm going at right now. And I remember, like his homily, he was saying, he was talking about how, like, the gospel was talking about, Jesus was talking about the importance of prayer, and he told the story of the two blind guys who, and like, again, I said this is a very faith and religious video. If you're not Catholic, you're not Christian, then yeah, you can leave. But he talked about the two blind guys who walked up to Jesus, and they were like, we want to be healed. And like, I remember the words that, like, the priest said. He was like, then Jesus asked the question God has asked humans all the time: do you believe I can? And blind guys say yes. They both say yes. And priest was very much like, you need to ask yourself that question. Like, we say a ton of things, but our hearts a lot of times are empty and everything. It's like, you need to ask yourself, do you believe he can? And I remember I talked with him after mass was done, and like, he told me the same thing. I was like, hey, I'm going through something right now, so I took the day off. And he was like, well, you came to the right place. And he was like, you just need to ask yourself, do you believe he can? And like the entire rest of the day, I was also just praying. The entire rest of the day, I was just praying, and I basically didn't do anything until like 6-7 o'clock. Then I started by playing the Xbox. But like, most of the day was literally just praying. And I remember that like statement really stuck with me. He's like, do you believe he can? And like, I do believe he can. And like, it very much, and like, the reason I'm making this is, one, just for myself, but also for anybody else who going through this, who you thought God was finally going to answer your prayers, only for it not to be that way. Only for everything not to work. And then, now you're sitting here being like, okay, what went wrong? What did I do wrong? Or you're thinking, like, God lied to me. Right? God lied to me. He said this was going to happen, and it didn't. But like, and like, yesterday, how I was at the beginning of the day to how I was at the end of the day was completely different. Like, at the end of the day, I was still like, at the end of the day when I went to bed, I was still like heartbroken. I was still like sad about, that what I thought was going to happen didn't happen. But I did feel better. I was like, this is part of his plan. This is part of his plan. He did this for a reason. He didn't lie. And, there was good about what happened. And, I don't see it yet, but there is good about what happened. And for the person that's going through kind of like the same thing I'm going through right now, where, you thought something was going to happen, everything looked good, and then all of a sudden, like, it got, like, the rug got pulled under you, and now you're like, okay, what happened? Like, what happened? This came out of nowhere. Just, I want you to keep telling yourself, this is part of his plan. This is part of his plan, and this is part of his plan, and it's for the good. It's for the best. And, it sucks right now. It hurts right now. And you're angry. You're most likely angry. But, he can make things better. And he will make things better. And this might be, the thing failing might be what he needed in order for you to get to where you need to be for when that thing actually happens. And that's very much what I'm telling myself right now. So I want to make this, short video just very much saying, things, it sucks. It sucks, and, right now you're probably being like, why did this happen? I thought everything was working, and you might be mad at God. You might be mad at God. But, know that, this is all according to his plan. And, he didn't lie. He didn't tell you false things, because God doesn't do that. And, all of this is for the best. All of this for the best. And I'm sure, months or years later, I will look back on this and I'll be like, okay, I see the reason why that happened. So you just keep looking on the bright side, and, keep praying. Keep praying and keep asking God, because, one thing I've learned ever since I came back to the Catholic faith is, he doesn't lie, and he's not going to do something to you unless it's unless it's the best thing for you. If it's not the best, he won't do it. If it is the best thing for you, he will do it. Even if that thing sucks. So anyway, I'll see you guys all in the next video, whatever that may be.